How do you see sales evolving? How do you put that into your own skills? How do you transmit that into your sellers? Walk us through a little bit of your way of going through the sales ladder and the sales psychology in today's world.
I think that sales nowadays is something fundamental. I think that, as you guys mentioning before about the AI and everything that's going on, is very important to understand how to do a sale on a proactive way. This is why our job is so important. We work as team leaders. Potentially, we work with our sellers to give them the tools and the sufficient knowledge in order to portray and to get along their job as good as possible. Our job is also to make their lives easier. We want them to have fun and to come here to work and to build up as much as we can. Our job ends to the point where the account executive of the seller scales up. So we need to build them up to the moment where they can scale up within the company. So it's about how we manage the multifunction things that are happening on a day. Is it dealing with internal things? Is it dealing with clients? Is it going to our upper management, creating projections, creating rejections as well in terms of how we do this, how we work with clients? It's many things going on in one same role in just
that's crazy.
The frame of one day. Like many things can happen. Sales is a roller coaster of emotions as I feel it, at least. It's like you're not the best seller if you close this big deal, and you're not the worst one if you don't close it. It's about how you mitigate the risk of being the best. Knowing how to be the best is also knowing how to be the worst in certain times.
I
love that.
I have a direct question for you, because being a people manager, I think you have to be more like a psychologist than actually like a real sales manager, right? Instead of coaching sales tactics, etc. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit more there?
Absolutely.
What is like your feeling about that?
I think that one of the things that has driven success, at least in my experience, maybe Sonia can share as well, is how we get along with our sellers. Like when you create this bond, this connection with them in a way that they trust your strategy, and then they want to do it the best way possible because they know that you are guiding the way as good as you can. So creating this bond, understanding how a seller feels, getting to greet them in the morning, for example, in a daily touch point, what we do every day is see how they wake up, how they are prepared to go into the day, and how they want to really do their job as best as we can. And also something that is not minor is the trust. Of course, it all comes down to how you trust your sellers, because you can teach them until a certain point, but from there onwards is how they get these tools and do the best they can. So that's what we do on a day to day.
Do you think there is and I want to jump into your point of view as well, it's a direct correlation between what you're saying, Tommy, in terms of if they trust me, if we have like a strong bonding and a strong relationship, at some point they will perform better? Or there are some other things that besides we can be best friends and they can trust me and I can trust them and they can respect me, if they don't go through the strategies, they don't follow thoroughly the process that we need to go through, they will fail?
No, I think that it's a very interesting question, actually. I think that trusting somebody is because you know where they come from, you know what they did, you know who they are. Trust is not something you build from one day into another one. You need to show yourself as a leader, somebody that they can follow instinctively, and they will get to a certain point. Of course, there is in my experience, there is a correct correlation between the trust that you have with your sellers and how they portray yourself. And from there onwards, you're going to build a solid teams. I think that solid teams are what makes a company great. And that's what I always try to do. Like give them also the chance to have a retroactive back and forth. Like I'm here as a leader. I try to give you as much tools as I can, but then I'm also going to hear your feedback. I want to learn from you and I want to expand. For example, given Sonia's experience, she's worked in many different fields. I can learn a lot from her. If we were working together, it would be also a start point for me to learn how to do my job better.
All right. What do you think, Sonia? So basically going back to the performance thing and, and building this.
I agree completely. I think sales is about two things, right? First is the system. Like you can have an average salesperson, but if you give them a proper system, they could be exceptional sellers. Okay. Right. So there are two things that you have to measure properly: the KPI, the sales funnel, the conversion rate between the stages, where is the gap of the performance, right? And where are we aiming to get? A lot of things to take in consideration. I'm very data-driven kind of manager. So I would like to see like the market share. How much can we absorb of this market share this quarter? Okay. Therefore, what KPIs do we need to get there? Then measure the gap of performance and then set up like a proper pipeline hygiene and sales cadence as well to the customer and methodology to prospect as well, right? But there's another point, which is what Tommy was saying, is like the bond is created with a psychological safety that you have to create in the environment, especially in sales.
That safety net.
Exactly.
Right?
A lot of people comes and go. They don't feel part of a company because in sales it's very challenging to feel part of a project, of a family, of a company, right? Because you come and go and you see a lot of people fired because this is happening in every single company, right? So it's your job as a manager first to be an umbrella to this situation so they don't feel the pressure and stress that you are under, to build that trust with them and fact that they know that this is a psychological safety area. On the talent side that you were saying, like the most competent seller, even if they trust you and they trust your action plan, let's say, would they be a good salesperson? Could be or not, because for me, it depends of how motivated they are and how skilled they are. So depending on the skill and motivation, there could be someone who is very highly skilled, like the top salesperson ever, but is not motivated for some reason, therefore will not perform. The other way around, someone that is not very skilled, but very highly motivated.
Super hungry or...
Exactly. Therefore, if you become like a telling leader and you tell them what to do in order to get there, it can become a great salesperson. So I think there's a lot of things that you have to handle.
And there's a gray area there that you can convert someone that has no sales skills into a killer, or someone that has the best sales skills into the worst performer because 100%. they don't have the right guidance. I want your question as well, but we're always talking, and we were talking in previous episodes as well, about the importance of management. You were telling, you mentioned it twice, and I think I couldn't agree more, that I'm here to take your BS, all your problems as a manager, and I'm going to give you all the tools and resources in order for you to take them and then succeed. But most of the managers are not doing that, or they don't see it in this way. So a manager can make or break your career as well, right? So,
and you mentioned a really good point, being an umbrella, right? It's not just, for you as a manager, I think it's really important as well to filter all the internal pressure and don't transmit it to your sales team. Or how do you see that point? Because out of my feeling, I think all the best managers I had so far were really people who filtered all the bullshit and then were able to, keep the environment in the team good enough.
100%. Imagine you and I have a one-on-one and I have like the worst day ever and I yell at you, like I barf at you. Your day will be the worst day ever too.
10 times, 10 times worse.
Like my manager just told me that sometimes I had a one-on-one with my manager and I came out like, did I do something wrong? Like what's going on? Are they planning to fire me? And paranoia kicks in, and you go crazy. So it's very important you have the worst day, you get a walk with your dog, you chill, you come back fresh, and then you start a one-on-one, even if you have to delay the one-on-one. But it's very important to be that umbrella, because otherwise there's no control on emotions.
That's great. What do you think, Tommy?
No, I think I agree. I agree very much with Sonia here. I also believe that managers also hold the responsibility of delivering for the team. Like we represent a bunch of 12, 15, 10, 5 people, whatever, and we are responsible for those numbers. So many times when things are going right, it's the seller who did a great sale. But when things are going wrong, okay, we need to put on the mask and say, okay, what's going on here, and present these numbers in a way that it's also proactive. And we are also sellers, guys. Like we never stop selling. We don't sell a product.
That's really, really important to highlight that.
No, we don't do cold calling maybe, but we do sell our team as a solid team. We sell our strategy to our team as a way of going forward. Sales is a never-ending job. You can sell outside of the work environment. You're always selling as well. When you really learn how to do this art, then you feel more confident. I think that sales can be resumed into confidence.
100%. You can even sell what to go for dinner.
You can sell whatever you want.
You can sell everything.
You have to be selling all day. You just don't realize.
Why it's so bastard in terms of a profession. Sometimes, we feel it as sellers, right? Even from my point of view right now as a consultant, so to speak, or freelance or coach or trainer, you put the name. Like, oh, you have another guy that will train us or will teach us how do we sell. Sometimes we feel like it's a bastard profession, right? Or am I wrong? Or how do you feel about it?
Absolutely. As I was saying before, it's a roller coaster of emotions consistently. Like one day you are on the top and then the next one you are in the bottom. So you have to learn how to live in this gray area to understand when things are going well. Know that when you get to the top, things are going to go down eventually. So learn this is also, I think it's also a school in life. No, you learn when things are going right to be conservative. When things are going wrong, okay, it's not the end of the world. We're going to scale up from here onwards.
Exactly. And when you're in outbound, you're literally a freelancer.
Yeah.
Like if you have to
Exactly.
prospect your own pipeline,
Right.
you have to do the wholesale cycle, close it, upsell it,
Yeah.
Your commissions are on you. Even your salary is on you because commission is a big part in sales,
Yeah.
right? So you become a
Absolutely.
freelancer
Absolutely.
in a very early stage of your career, like at the beginning of your career. It's a lot of learnings. You run your own company when you decide to do that.
I think those are if you're doing outbound or whoever that is watching us, the best skills that you can ever develop
Yeah.
is doing outbound. It's like getting a
Yeah.
list, forget about the AI, forget about the FOMO tools, automations, and whatsoever, and get a list, pick a phone or
Yeah.
get some email and start trying to, with value, with relevancy, in the right time, with the right message, trying to sell. It's fucking crazy.
I think I mentioned it in one episode. I think I learned more as in 1 year as an SDR than 4 years in my university in Germany. So it's really a
crazy.
top. If you don't know what to do, I think sales is definitely a good profession to get into. And if you have good leaders like you guys, who can leverage you over time, I think it's really important to have good leaders. Or if you don't have a good leader, because it's happening as well, find a mentor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
really, really helpful. I had that at the beginning, and it leveraged I get like
10 times better,
10 times
in
better.
10 times faster.
Yeah,
you know?
telling people what works, and then automatically you get a better.
You already made the mistakes that you.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you
Even if
also-
you don't know what to do, like if you're into sales, you can prospect companies nonstop, different industries to figure out what to do. Like, what
Yeah.
do you like, and find out everything about them. And the other way around, like when my account executives told me in every company that I work, like, I don't know what to prospect and I'm not motivated. This happens a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like the whole market share is already in the CRM and touched by someone. It's like,
It's normal.
okay, what do you want to do next? If you want to create your own company, what it is about? Like, I don't know, a music label.
like thinking outside of the
agency,
box,
marketing agency. There you go. Prospect marketing agencies and find out what they do and get struck all the information, and then you will know how to do it in the future, right? It's all about turning around.
Yeah.
Sales is like in everything that you do.
So you mentioned a lot of things about training, bonding, skills, data-driven. I can feel and I can see, and I already know you guys, but you're leading different markets as well and different type of companies, and your experience is a little bit different in terms of the companies that you've been working on as well. Can you walk us through, Sonia, for example, what are those strategies, top three go-tos that you will never miss, that are non-negotiables for you within your Monday morning or Friday evening, that you say, I need to go through these KPIs. This is why I measure them. Could be KPIs, could be strategies for prospecting, how you coach your team. Those non-negotiables that for you are the most important in every seller that you apply as a manager.
For me, like any account executive, SDR, whatever, there's something that I need them to do, which is reading data all the time. Sometimes in all the companies, you have an access to a huge amount of data and they don't even read it. When they start new in a company, a new joiner, they would always try to do their own strategy, most likely the strategy that they had in the previous company, right? That's a mistake. First thing that you need to do is check all the dashboards that you got. Like if you work with Metabase or whatever you do, like what was the accounts that gave more revenue, for example, this quarter last year?
Yeah.
First thing that you need to learn is to read the data and then analyze it. And of course, emulate what's working already, right? And if it works already, you have a ramp up when you start. When you reach your target, then you can start making your own strategy. But something that I think it's a big mistake and it happens a lot and it's non-negotiable for me is not reading the data. Like if I ask you, you just ended your onboarding, your training, whatever, right? And I tell you, what are you going to start prospecting? And you tell me like random things, like travel agencies in summer, when they're super busy, you cannot even call them. I would kill you. Like what I expect you to do.
So you
is to
can
read the
you can
data.
read the seller 100%
Exactly.
through their skin when they are BS you or they are saying
when they're new
the right thing.
joiners, it's like,
Exactly.
and because I want to know what you don't know how to do and I want to coach you to do it. So let's read the data together. Let's see what to do. Let's emulate what already works. And then we'll start doing your own strategy because everybody has a different piece, a different mindset, strategy, whatever. And you adapt it to every single sales that you have because everyone is different. But I think that's non-negotiable for me. Like reading the data, the most relevant, which is what was successful already, emulate now. And what's the gap of performance right now? I really like to measure conversion rates on anything.
In every stage of every
I have
sale.
Google Sheets for everything. Everywhere I go, I'm obsessed with it. So I have
the
to measure
data-driven girl we have here.
how many calls does it take you to get to a discovery
That's amazing.
call, right?
That's amazing.
From that discovery call, how many more calls to get a meeting and a demo? And why did you not negotiate money in the demo, right? Like or demo or whatever you do. But whatever the sales stages are, I love to measure every single
What
thing.
happens in each?
Yeah.
Really, really interesting. I think when you are able to read the data, of course, you can get so many things out of it, right? But as a manager as well, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a thin line, right? In having the data and put it in front of your salespeople and then say, do this or find out this way of having like the micromanagement part compared to, being like there and supporting them as much as possible. How are you able to manage that, right?
That's a great point.
I always ask for feedback. Like whenever I have to do, imagine that your team is not hitting target and you think they're not going to hit the quota at the end of the quarter. Then you have to start thinking about an action plan. What am I going to do, right? I don't do an action plan and deliver it to my team and tell them this is what we're going to do. Never. It's a democracy. We have to vote. We have to think. I want their brains to think because I have the best people on my team.
Yeah.
It's like a band. Like you need someone who plays guitar, another one plays the bass, and another one plays the drums. And without the drums, like you have no band,
Okay.
Yeah.
So I like to ask every single one of my teammates, what do you think? Give me feedback. What would you do to make the situation better? And then the action plan is built by everyone. And everybody is on board with your plan and they feel it. And therefore they support you.
This is like a real
100%.
leadership, right? Because if you just going
It's
one direction,
just one direction,
and they
exactly.
need to follow you, that's not leadership, right? It's really
Why
back
would
and
I,
forth. Yeah.
follow you?
Exactly, it's persuaded. And what do you think, Tommy? So back to the question, like, what are your non-negotiables or your strategies to go through your weekly operations in order to make your team more successful?
I think that many times for the audience that is listening to us, many times sales is perceived as a soft skill role. It's a soft skill position. When in actually there's a lot of numbers behind to it. There's a lot of metrics. There's a lot of things that you can measure, being number of calls, number of meetings, conversion rates. You can have a look at that. You can have a look at the estimated gross profit that a company might be able to generate in the near future, how you can anticipate what the client is going to do. Also tendencies within the year, time of the year. If we're going towards a Christmas time of the year, we're going into Easter, to summer, to winter. It varies a lot and you have to be able to read this to be able to deliver it to your sellers. I think this picks up on what Sonia was just saying about understanding which things made sense a year before. We stand one year back, what was going on in that time of the year, and we can bring it back to today. So data, fundamental. In my opinion, I always try to portray the numbers. We work with a lot of sheets of numbers to understand the metrics of how sellers are working on a day-to-day basis. So for them to understand and comprehend what is going on, I think that builds up to what we want to create here, which is a strong team. So what we do every day is we go over pipeline reviews. We check how many activities they've done per day, which companies they are seeking. Maybe what I try to do always is bring up one or two account executives to speak about how some of the deals that they've been working on in the last couple of weeks, or one strong win we had. Many times I also involved other stakeholders within our positions, being people who work on a certain product, to come into the morning meeting and just talk about something different. I think that creating this sense of engagement with our sellers and involving them in the decision-making process also helps you have a stronger team.
And I think from you managing different territories, right? And the interesting part in Europe is for every single seller who has their own territory, you need a different kind of strategy and a different kind of approach, right? Yeah. And you need to understand it as you guys, as a sales manager. You cannot sell to
what would happen if I send you 7 emails in Germany?
Yeah, they will.
You would sue me.
They will sue you. Yeah,
exactly.
You know, like you have to, and you guys are like the. I wouldn't call them marionettes, like puppets, coordinating them, right, and then helping them to understand it. Some of them, they're maybe fresh sellers who have to understand it. So it's really, I think, for the listener out there, it sounds like kind of complex, but it's even more complex if you're in the system, right?
Of course. I mean, there is always the cultural barrier, no? Of course. Every country has their own way to approach. You cannot approach somebody in the Southern Europe like you can approach in the Western or in the Nordics. It's completely different type of approach. People perceive your product different. They know more about financial institutions or about the complexities of nowadays. Or maybe they are more like, okay, for example, the people in the south of Italy, just to give an example, they are more traditional. Yeah. They like things more traditional. They work with what they know and they're happy with that. Okay, how do you break this barrier, introduce a product like this? That's why you need to train your sellers so that they can sell your product intuitively. I think that's something that at least in my teams, I do a lot. Like, talk to me about the product that we sell. Explain to me as if I didn't know anything about anything. Go to it at the basic level, and then we'll scale up to complexities, to numbers, to fees, to commissions, to whatever you want. But if the other person perceives the value into what you're trying to sell, I think that creates a stronger bond with the client and endures the sale. No? Ultimately, we want the person to be happy with what we sell and be able to become a loyal client for us and bring referrals and scale from there up. So if you're able to train your sellers in a way that when they reach out to in outbound, for example, they need to understand where they're selling. It's not the same in the south of Italy than it's selling to Madrid or selling in London. It's completely different approach.
Yeah.
So would it be fair to assume that basically every seller needs to develop like a 100% different personality traits?
Yeah,
I would say
you have to be
if they are selling in more than exactly.
And not only in the territory, also when you get into a video call, for example, and you see the person who is on the other side, you need to adapt your pitch.
Absolutely.
If you sell to a guy who's 25 years old and knows about TikTok, Instagram, and the things we use nowadays, okay, the sale is going to be much more oriented to stuff that he already knows. If you're talking to, for example, who's on a
plus 60 years old, business owner.
Exactly. You're going to adapt yourself in a pitch, which we're going to go slower. You're going to understand that the person might not know how to share the screen. It's things that we
yeah, that's right. It's
encounter on a day-to-day.
Tone, pace, mirroring, matching, all the things.
100%.
So I have two questions now that you're mentioning all these topics. I will ask them again later on. But the first question is, we are talking about KPIs, activity levels, lagging indicators, leading indicators. What are those 3 KPIs, if you have to name 1, 2, or 3, top 3 KPIs that are the ones that you always track that are giving you some sense of insights in order to take action on something?
I think that for me, one of the most important ones is pipeline growth. I need to see the pipeline grow.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. So pipeline growth means that when you're looking for companies, you're going to feed them into a CRM, ultimately the system that we use in sales.
Mm-hmm.
When you feed these companies into the CRM, you're going to categorize them either by industry or by annual revenue or by the projection in terms of how much they're going to be using of the account or in any different
criteria.
But I need to see the pipeline grow. Sales is a numbers game. When the more clients you have or the more potential clients you have within your pipeline, the more chances you have of closing them and converting them into what we call a NAB in our role.
Yeah.
It's new active business. Ultimately, we want the clients to be start using our account. So tracking the pipeline growth, number of activity levels can be calls, can be meetings, can be a number of emails, LinkedIn messages. Activity levels are fundamental. Yeah, then we're going to track the top 10 accounts. That's what I focus on.
Perfect. What do you think, Sonia?
For me, pipeline is super huge deal for me as well. But I need to see like hygiene on the pipeline because they can say like, I have 4 times the coverage to my target to the pipeline.
So basically, we can combine. Asking the question again, it's what are those KPIs that you would say, hey, these KPIs are telling me something, and those are the ones that I measure. Pipeline growth that I think that is really interesting, connected to pipeline hygiene, so we don't get into the trap
hygiene, indeed, and
of
to
having whatever the account it is, right?
For me, it depends if you work yearly or quarterly and what product you're selling, right? But imagine that you work for quarters, and I want you to have a pipeline for the whole year. Okay. I don't mean a gap to the target, to the whole yearly target. I mean, like if you know there's a seasonality in the product that you're selling, you have to take that in consideration.
Yeah.
As I said before, you're not going to call a travel agency in August. Like, they're not there. They're traveling. Literally, they have so many customers, they don't need you, right? You're going to call them like 2 months ahead if your sales cycle is 1 month and 1 month of onboarding, for example, right? You need to plan ahead because otherwise, then you hear this complaint a lot. Like, everything is on the CRM. I cannot prospect anything. Everything is taken.
Yeah.
Right? Because you didn't think about that. You just think about the short term, which is this quarter or this year. Think about the long one because otherwise, you're lost. Like someone else did think about the long run and the whole year. So for me, having this strategy in the pipeline, like by seasonality, depending on the target, and having a gap to the target, 4 times the gap to the target, depending on what target we're talking about, in the pipeline growth is super important. Pipeline hygiene for me is not just about, I qualify this customer, I say it's high quality, low quality, let's say, and I add a random value. It's like, do you add notes here? Do you have follow-ups? How often do you have follow-ups? Am I seeing the same note week over week? Like you're not even calling this person, but you keep telling me this is a huge big bet, you know?
Yeah.
If it's that big, how come I'm not in any of those meetings? You know, like you would not trust it or believe it. So accuracy, key for me. Like,